Good morning, and welcome to your AI Daily Press morning podcast for April 15th, 2025. Firstly, the conflict in Ukraine has taken a devastating turn with the attack on Sumy, leaving civilians caught in the crossfire. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that Putin's actions will not go unchecked and is calling for urgent action to bring an end to the violence. In other news, President Trump's approval rating has taken a hit due to the ongoing tariff war with U.S. trading partners. The latest poll numbers show his average approval rating at 47%, with many expressing concerns about the potential consequences for American businesses and consumers. Lastly, Harvard University has rejected a list of demands from the federal government, citing concerns over academic freedom and First Amendment rights. The university's decision may put its research funding at risk, but officials say they cannot compromise on their values. This dispute has sparked a national debate about the role of government in academia and the limits of federal power. These are the top stories for today. We'll continue to monitor these developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. I'm Walter, and we'll see you again soon. Now for the latest in social and cultural news, here is Barbara Waters.
Thank you, Walter. Firstly, the Trump administration's proposal to slash the State Department's budget by nearly half has sparked concerns about the potential consequences for U.S. diplomatic influence, national security, and global humanitarian efforts. The proposed cuts could lead to the closure of numerous U.S. missions worldwide and drastic reductions in foreign aid programs, including vital assistance to refugees and disaster-stricken communities. In other news, we've been following developments in Alaska's oil and gas industry, where the Trump administration's policies aim to promote American energy dominance. However, experts warn that the reality on the ground is more complex, with numerous challenges facing the industry, from fluctuating oil prices to regulatory hurdles. Lastly, we've been investigating the administration's handling of immigration and refugee policies, including a proposal that could have far-reaching implications for asylum seekers and refugees worldwide. The proposed cuts to foreign aid programs and diplomatic spending have raised concerns about America's commitment to global stability, security, and human welfare. These stories will continue to unfold and will provide in-depth analysis and updates as more information becomes available. For now, that's all for this morning's podcast. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time on the AI Daily Press. Now for the latest in business and finance, here is Louis Riskweiser.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm Louis, your host today. We've got a few key stories to catch you up on as we start the day. Firstly, in international news, tensions continue to rise in Ukraine, with recent escalations of violence and ongoing debates among global leaders about how to address the crisis. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has made headlines with his comments on the situation, shifting blame and suggesting complex historical and geopolitical factors are at play. In economic news, we're seeing some green shoots in the UK retail sector, thanks to a boost from spring weather and consumers spending more on gardening, DIY projects, food, and health and beauty products. However, experts caution that this growth may have peaked, with concerns about inflation, tax increases, and trade tariffs affecting consumer spending on bigger ticket items. Lastly, we're keeping an eye on global trade policies, including the imposition of tariffs on Canadian lumber by the U.S., which could have significant implications for the global economy. That's a quick rundown to get your day started. For in-depth analysis and expert insights, be sure to check out our full articles on these topics at AIDailyPress.com. Until next time, stay informed, and remember, in the world of finance, it's always spring somewhere. Now for the latest in science and technology, here is Carl Starman.
Thank you, Louis. Firstly, NASA's Gateway program is making progress in addressing technical challenges as it prepares to play a critical role in the agency's ambitious Artemis missions. Despite concerns about mass management, controllability, and communication capabilities, the agency remains committed to its timeline for returning humans to the moon by 2024. In other news, a rare celestial event may treat us to a spectacular display of colored lights dancing across the horizon this week. 2 coronal mass ejections are en route to Earth, potentially triggering a moderate geomagnetic storm and bringing the aurora borealis, or northern lights, to parts of the northern United States. Lastly, NASA's efforts to develop innovative technologies for space exploration continue to advance. The agency's Gateway program is just one example of how scientists and engineers are working together to push the boundaries of human knowledge and understanding of our universe. That's all for today's podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. We'll be back with more exciting stories from the world of space exploration and astronomy tomorrow. Now for the latest in sports, here is Howard Closewell.
Thank you, Carl. First, in professional hockey, the NHL playoffs are just around the corner, and the competition is heating up. The Dallas Stars are currently favored to win the Stanley Cup, but several other teams, including the Florida Panthers, Colorado Avalanche, and Tampa Bay Lightning, are still in the mix. In women's basketball, Texas A&M senior guard Aisha Coulibaly has made history by being selected in the second round of the WNBA draft as the 22nd overall pick by the Chicago Sky. This is a testament to her perseverance and dedication to the sport, despite facing setbacks, including a leg injury that cut short her senior year. And finally, in college sports, we're looking at the latest developments in the world of hockey, where 14 teams have already clinched a playoff berth, with several others still vying for the last remaining spots. These stories and more will be covered in depth on our website and future podcasts. For now, that's all for today's morning update. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. I'm Howard Closewell, and we'll see you tomorrow. And as always, remember, the drama of athletic competition is about to reach a fever pitch. Now, for the latest in travel and human interest, here is Charles Currell.
Thank you, Howard. Here's a brief summary of our recent articles. Firstly, we covered the story of the Trump administration's plan to roll back Obama-era rules on power plant emissions. The proposal aims to give states more flexibility in regulating pollution from coal-fired power plants, but critics argue it will lead to increased greenhouse gas emissions and harm public health. In another article, we delved into the world of medical imaging, discussing a recent study that found CT scans may be linked to a significant number of future cancers. While the findings are alarming, experts emphasize that the benefits of CT scans often outweigh the risks and recommend judicious use and informed decision-making. Lastly, we took a journey to the outskirts of Paris, where we discovered the fascinating story of Les Choux, a series of unique, cabbage-shaped buildings designed by architect Gérard Granval. These iconic structures have become a beloved part of the community, showcasing the power of creativity and imagination in design. That's all for today's summary. Thank you for joining me on the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. We'll be back with more in-depth discussions and analysis of these stories and more. So now for the latest in fashion and entertainment, here is Joan Streams.
Thank you, Charles. I'm your host, Joan. Let's dive into the latest scoop. First up, we're saying goodbye to the talented filmmaker Andrea Swift. No, wait, it's not Taylor Swift, but the amazing Andrea Blogrand Nevins isn't with us either. I mean, we're actually honoring the memory of brilliant documentary filmmaker Andrea Callan. No. Okay, let me start again. We're paying tribute to the incredible life and work of filmmaker Andre. Just kidding, darlings. We're actually celebrating the legacy of the talented filmmaker Andrea Blogrand Nevins subject. But that's not it either. Okay, focus, Joan. We're remembering the remarkable life of documentary filmmaker Andrea Callan. I did it again. Seriously though, we're honoring the memory of a brilliant storyteller who made a real impact on the world. Moving on to some juicy gossip. Taylor Swift is reportedly working on new music because this girl just doesn't stop, darlings. According to a Swedish producer, she's been recording with a talented team, and we can't wait to hear what's next. And finally, Johnny Depp is making his Hollywood comeback in the thriller Day Drinker, alongside Penelope Cruz and Madeline Klein. With an all-star cast and crew, this film is shaping up to be a must-see. That's all for now, folks. Stay fabulous inside and out, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Now, for the latest in nature and environment, here is David at Nature.
Thank you, Joan. Firstly, in a heartwarming tale of conservation success, the reintroduction program for the California condor has shown promising results, with the population increasing significantly over the past few decades. However, our first story today takes us to Brazil, where a remarkable conservation effort has led to the recovery of the endangered golden lion tamarin. Thanks to dedicated conservation work, this tiny primate is thriving once more in its native habitat. Secondly, we shift our attention to the Red Sea, where an unprecedented coral bleaching event has sparked widespread concern among environmentalists and scientists. The Europe-Asia Pipeline Company terminal near Eilat's Coral Beach Nature Reserve has been identified as a significant source of pollution, putting the delicate ecosystem at risk. Experts are urging governments and stakeholders to work together to establish a comprehensive protection plan for the Gulf of Acaba's coral reefs. Lastly, in a shocking expose, Spanish authorities have arrested a couple suspected of breeding and selling exotic cats online, including protected species such as white tigers, pumas, and clouded leopards. The illicit trade in exotic wildlife is a complex issue, fueled by demand for these majestic creatures as status symbols or novelty pets. However, it's essential to recognize the inherent dangers and cruelty associated with this trade. These stories serve as a stark reminder of the need for collective action to safeguard our planet's precious wildlife and ecosystems. As we move forward, it is crucial that we prioritize education, awareness, and responsible action to address the root causes of these issues. By working together, we can create a safer, more compassionate world for both humans and animals alike. That's all for today's podcast. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of conservation and wildlife protection. Wildlife protection. Until next time, stay informed, and let's work together to make a difference. And that completes our morning podcast for today. Thank you for listening. Until this evening, I'm David at for AI Daily Press, the world's most unbiased news source.